Saludos y buenas noches a las todos. Hello, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to another rendition of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL post show here at BC WrestlePod. My name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod. And once again, I am holding it down this week on my own. Well, at least on screen, I'm holding it down on my own. Um, I do have some exciting news though. Papa also over the last month or two has been busy with his Playwright Festival. So every year around spring, lots of plays and short monologues and things like that to get performed. And it is a month-long festival that is being prepared for. And Papa also is doing awesome. He's doing good, but man, he is tired and he is almost there. He just has to make it to next week, and then he will be back on the show for for the all of the summer. So I'm excited to have him back. So Papa also will be making his grand return in 2 weeks. But until then, I will be holding it down here tonight. But as always, I have our other friendo, amigo, primo, and my virtual co-host, Agent Lo-Fi, in the chat and in the building. So we're gonna have some fun back and forth, and this is gonna be good. So before I get into this, I do have to I gotta be transparent, y'all. I gotta tell y'all. I actually wrote notes this time, so I feel like I say the same thing over and over again every single week. And I actually wrote out notes and things I wanted to talk about each match. So I actually sound like I know what I'm talking about and I'm not just referring to. It was good. I like watching people fly around the ring. It's fun. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to step up my game. I'm trying to do better by y'all. And you know what? We're gonna see how this goes tonight. And Primo, I am hoping that you will keep me fact check me and also keep me in line too. So before we get into tonight's episode, I do want to quickly go through everything. We're pretty much live every week on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. BC WrestlePod is where you can find our social medias, which is also a lot of fun. We have some merch available to you. Uh That's great. The only news I care about right now is that the family is that the family and the tier finally gets Sunday and Monday shows. Rejoice. Thank God. Honestly, for reals. And we could talk more about that at the end. So appreciate that, Primo. I love that. But again, merch at our store, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. Link is in the chat. And last but certainly not least, we have a coffee bot to help us pay for all these things that we review. If you want to donate, you can click on that link when it pops up in Twitch and YouTube every 10 minutes. But if not, it is okay because we love you. And you being here is enough. Alrighty, let's get into this. So we are covering the Friday, April 10th edition of Viernes Espectacular. So again, not only are we continuing with the Friday shows in Arena México, but specifically this week coming up, CMLL it will be taking over Las Vegas for their show as a part of Slam Fest here in the States over WrestleMania. Well, I say WrestleMania weekend, but it's literally WrestleMania week because independent promotions and international promotions are having shows starting tomorrow, going all the way through the weekend. Um, and more on that because your boy is here at BC WrestlePod. We'll be covering a lot of stuff, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. They're announcing the MLW matches as we speak. Hell yeah! Totally going to cover that when we get there, so it should be fun. Alrighty, so let's get into this. So again, we are covering the Friday, April 10th edition of Viernes Espectacular. And we kicking things off. Of course, we had your classic Friday night lucha libre opener with this one. This, of course, is our level Australianos, and this saw on one side you have Los Viajeros del Espacio. So that is going to be Max Star, Valiente Jr., and Futuro taking on the team well, first and foremost, these three Valiente, Futuro, and Max Star, of course, are the more younger unit of the two, and that's fun. And on the other side, of course, you have the more seasoned veteran trio of Guerrero Maya Jr., Raider, and Okamura. So, uh, I say this every single week. So I say I have notes, but literally in my notes, it's the same thing. This is your standard CMLL opener every Friday. In this edition, it is the formula for a trios match, if you will. So for me personally, I think what I liked about this match is, of course, it continues to follow the trios formula where you establish the rudos, you build heat, you pop on the comeback, and I mean, to be honest, that's exactly what we got for this match. I thought it was pretty fast paced. I thought it was energetic. I do think that the crowd got locked in early, and to nobody's surprise here, in my personal opinion, Viajeros del Espacio do pick up the win here. For me personally, this match was nothing it was nothing like a blowaway. It wasn't a five-star classic, but I thought it was definitely a solid opener. That it did exactly what the opener is supposed to do every Friday, which is set the tone and to wake the crowd up. Yeah, like most matches outside the main, it was pretty darn good, but nothing you'll remember. Agreed. Agreed, primo. So again, that's never going to change. I feel like I'm going to say that every time we talk about an opener, but this was to get the crowd up. Valiente Jr., Futuro, and Max Star will end up doing it. I also agree. I did like seeing Raider getting some high flying in. Yes, 100%. I also agree. I like when Raider is able give when he's able to get the chance to fly and do some incredible stuff. This was fun. I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, I'm excited to see because the Espacio boys are also going to be super busy this Friday too, but more upon that when we get to there. So after this, we get into our second match of the evening. This is our Amazonas match, which is, of course, a relevo sencillo de Amazonas. So this is a dos de tres caídas. So this was a 2 out of 3 falls tag team match. On one side, the aptly named team, Las Reinas del Strong Style. So that is the team of Zuxis and Kira. Um, I'm gonna continue to mess this up because now there's two of them with different spellings, and we talked about this weeks ago, but I'm still gonna do it. So Las Reinas de Strong Style, Zuxis and Kira taking so really quickly, for those of you who are unaware or don't know, Zeuxis is probably one of the most staple women here in CMLL, and I honestly think she's really fun to watch, and I think I would put her in conversation for probably some of my favorite women's wrestlers across the planet right now. She is a former CMLL World Women's Champion, and honestly, if with a little bit of digging, and of course, because I wanted to make sure I got this fact right, she's been doing this and working at this high level for a very long time, for over a decade, which is really fun to watch and really, well, not watch, but really fun to learn about. Her tag team partner, Kira, is also there. And honestly, I think that these two work great together as a team. Their opponents, of course, are Tessa Blanchard and Gara Negra. Now, of course, anytime Tessa is in CMLL, the crowd is into it. I mean, they were into this match. Um, yeah, and again, Gara Negra is her partner in this one. Tessa and Gara were working as rudas and definitely made an interesting dynamic here. As far as the results go, simply put, Reina's the strong style won here, 2 falls to nothing. And from what I could understand afterwards, Gata Negra was actually defeated illegally by Kita, meaning that there was some Ruda on Ruda chaos going down to the stretch. So, and with the promo too, it's setting up a one-on-one match for this Friday, which I like. Once again, pretty good match. Hoping they make Gata Negra and Kita official CMLL sooner than later. Oh, that's right. I forgot. They're still not technically part of the roster. So I hope so, because I think they are both fantastic. I really was impressed with what I have seen so far every time they're here. And we do get a one-on-one match this Friday between Gara Negra and Kira, and I think that's gonna be fun. So overall, I agree with you, Primo. I think this is a pretty good match. It definitely was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the one-on-one match happening this Friday. All right, third match. This was a Lampago match, which, of course, for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is a basically a quick speed match. This is a match with a 10-minute time limit. So there are no falls. This is first pinfall or submission wins. And on paper, I was kind of interested to see how this one was going to go. On paper, I was expecting it to be a lot of fun. So this is Star Junior versus El Valiente. So Valiente, of course, is the veteran. He is experienced. He is physical. And honestly, he has been through and seen through a lot, and he knows how to tell the story in the ring. Star Junior, on the other hand, I feel like is always consistently being shown. Me personally, I do like watching Star Junior. I think he is a fun worker to watch. High flying, very crisp. Crowd loves him. Of course, Valiente won this one, and you know, suplexes, which was fantastic. Which I believe they described it as desnucadoras, which is basically two big pile drive style moves that put away Star Junior for this one. I think Valiente showing that veteran experience and physicality to close it out, which was a lot of fun to watch. And this was a fun one. I think we got a lot of intensity out of this one, and this was really fun action from beginning to bell. Primo coming in, honestly, kind of shocked that Valiente got the win here. That actually was pretty memorable, come to think of it. LOL. You know what? I have to agree with it because, like I was saying, I think Star Junior is usually consistently shown on TV. I say TV and I watch it from my YouTube screen. Y'all know what I mean. But Star Junior is always consistency. I was expecting him to get a win because it seems like he's been doing pretty good so far. But yeah, I mean, they gave it to Al Valiente. I don't know if there's anything else in the works for him, but you know what? We're going to see what happens. But this was a lot of fun. I think that, again, really good work from both of them. And again, Al Valiente puts away Star Junior for the win in this one. Alrighty. So now, match 4. This is a relevo australiano a dos de tres caídas. So another 2 out of 3 falls match here, trios match. This time, there were some real stakes attached to it, in my personal opinion, because it definitely featured the return of the rudo faction of Galeon Fantasma. It's been a hot minute since we've seen these boys, and I am so happy to see them. So, of course, this is Difunto, Barbosa, and Furia Roja. So, obviously, this group has been out for several weeks, and I guess you can call this a comeback match if you really want. And then, of course, on the other side was their opponents, Atlantis Jr., Flip Gorin, and Esfinge. So, as we all know, Atlantis Jr. is the son of Atlantis. So, he is the son of a legend. And Atlantis Jr. has established himself as a fixture in the CMLL like upper bid card, not necessarily main event title scene, if you even want to call it, but he's fun to watch. Flip Gordon, of course, for those of you who do not know, is the American luchador who has fully committed to the CMLL style. And honestly, he is a consistent presence. I am so happy he's been back from injury over the last couple months, and I enjoy him on my Friday shows. And then, of course, Esfinge Esfinge rounds out the técnicos on this side. So crazy how deep CMLL is that Galeon could dip for a bit and you don't really notice and they haven't missed a bit or lost popularity. Exactly. Because they've been away for a bit. They came back and the crowd is still in love with them. So you gotta love how crazy it is of how deep this roster is, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Okay, so back to the match real quick. So again, this was a Relevo Australiano. This was a lot of fun to watch. The results in this match, Atlantis Jr., Flip Gordon, and Esfinge won 2 falls to 1. So, of course, Galeon Fantasma did sneak a fall in there in between, which was a lot of fun. This was a win for the Técnicos, but the Rudos got some offense in, which was nice to see because it keeps them from being completely, outmatched. And I don't want to use the term buried, but it's just like if you lose 0-2, it's kind of crazy. But it was for fun, and they didn't completely get shut out in their return. This was a pretty good match. I thought this was a lot of fun. This is definitely good positioning of putting Galeon Fantasma back on our screens. And this is another fun win for the Técnicos with Atlantis Jr. Flip Gordon and SV getting some momentum in all of this. So I had a fun time with this one. This was so fun to watch. Now, okay, main event time. Because at first I was just like, there's only 5 matches on here. And then when I saw what the main event was, I was like, oh, right. Yeah, this gonna be here for a hot. We're gonna be here for a little bit. So again, main event time. This is what the show was built around, which is the same as last week and the week before. But anyways, this show was built around this particular match. This is the second phase of the 2026 CMLL Universal Championship tournament, if you will. So, really quickly, let me give you some context about why this is happening and what has transpired so far. So, this Universal Championship tournament is CMLL's, well, one of the prestigious annual tournament. Did anyone really think Stigma had a chance? The answer to that question, Primo, is no one. I love Stigma, but I'm gonna be so for real. Compared to everybody else, I was like, nah, bruh, this ain't for you. So let me give a quick recap. Like I said, this tournament for the Universal Championship is one of CMLL's of the many tournaments. This is one of their one of my personal favorite annual prestigious tournaments that they do. This year, it's structured in 3 phases. So phase 1 was last week. Phase 3 is this Friday. Well, actually, phase 1 was 2 weeks ago. My bad. Phase 3 is this Friday. And the final is going to take place at the April 24th show at the 70th anniversary of Arena México, which should be a lot of fun. So this is a big deal. The anniversary show at Arena México is basically like CMLL's big show. So tonight's winner was punching their ticket to that final. To recap, phase 1 was won by Máscara Dorada, so he's already in the final. Tonight's phase 2 was had all the world champions that were in here, and this was a 7-man elimination match featuring all of CMLL's current world champions. So let me give a quick rundown as who was in this thing. So of course you have Hechicero, the CMLL World Heavyweight Champion, who also, as everyone knows, is the Alquimista del Ring. So the Alchemist of the Ring. He recently has won this title from Claudio Castagnoli at Homenaje a Dos Leyendas last month. So he's still riding that momentum. Of course, you have Místico, the CMLL World Light Heavyweight and World Trios Champion. Still one of the most beloved figures in CMLL and all Lucha Libre, in my personal opinion. Templario, the CMLL World Middleweight Champion, a powerhouse who is consistently one of the best in-ring guys for CMLL for me personally, and I'm biased because me and Papa also love him. You also have Angel de Oro, one half of the CMLL World Tag Team Champions, Niebla Roja, the other half of those tag titles. You also, who of course is also Angel de Oro's brother and tag team partner, Neon, who is the World Trios Champion alongside Místico. And of course, you have Stigma, CMLL World Super Lightweight Champion. So week 1, first to pin, week 2, elimination match. I just want some consistency, CMLL, please. They always play hard and fast with how they want to do this. So I do agree. I want some consistency. I know you want to do stuff and it's fun and I'll still watch, but damn, man, let's do some consistency here. Well, I mean, to be fair, phase 1, it was only 3 people. Here we have 7. And then when we talk about this Friday, good God, it's going to be insane. But back to what I was saying. So because there are 7 champions here, this match was stacked. Every person in this match has gold around their waist. The crowd was ready. And they were going to tell us how hot this match was going to be. So this is going to be insane. So without further ado, with all the context and the prelude, let's get into the match itself because it started hot. Before the bell even rang, Neon threw himself at Hechicero, and then Místico launched off the ring steps into Hechicero and Angel de Oro. So immediately there was absolute chaos in this ring, right? It was crazy. So then, as we kept going with the match, the elimination started thinning the field. So Stigma goes, Niebla Roja goes, Neon goes, Templario goes, and then Místico, the crowd favorite, gets eliminated. That apparent, and honestly, this set Arena Mexico off, or they got way into it. So this was a big, crazy, emotional moment where Místico wasn't going to win. I don't know if this is going to be controversial to say, but I'm okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that. I love Mystico, don't get me wrong. So, but I am okay with it. So, when Mystico, of course, when he was eliminated, you got the Arena Mexico let you know that they were like, well, this is crazy. There was a lot of electricity in the air. It was fun. So, this left Hechicero and Angel de Oro in the final two. And so, as they went back and forth, of course, the crowd was divided between Hechicero and Angel de Oro. The back and forth between these two was intense, and both of these guys were doing their thing. I really enjoyed it. Hechicero would get La Hechicera, which of course is a guillotine driver, on Angel de Oro to drive him into the canvas, and that is it. 1, 2, 3. Hechicero wins phase two. He punches his ticket to the Arena Mexico 70th anniversary final. After the match, Hechicero cuts a promo, and I'm going to paraphrase it. My Spanish is not necessarily the best, but I know enough to translate. So, and I quote, "This championship comes with a lot of commitment and responsibility. Like responsibilities, these are opportunities. These are opportunities that kept being denied to me, and today I want this to be a great year." End quote. So obviously, Hechicero is a guy who is fully locked and motivated heading into probably arguably one of the biggest matches of his career going into this final. So this is going to be fun. I know the match was long, I think 40 minutes, but the pacing of the match really carried this. They hit all the big spots at the right time. And I personally agree. I mean, if it wasn't said for my very lengthy intro, prelude, and my breakdown of all the stuff, this was probably my favorite match of the night, as it should be. And we're setting up to the 70th Arena Mexico anniversary show. So that should be a lot of fun. So Hechicero is moving on. It is going to be him and Mascara Dorada. And then after this Friday, we will find out who else will be punching their ticket to the 70th Arena Mexico show. So that should be a lot of fun. And we're going to see how things go for everyone. So before we, not his biggest match, not his big. I watched that. Nah, his biggest match was against Will earlier tonight. Well, listen, okay, Primo. Let me rephrase then. This was his biggest match up to the point of last week, and then tonight when he faced Will Ospreay, that immediately threw it out the window. We're okay. Maybe Danielson, also that too. Edgy Seto's just out here having bangers with people. Love to see that. All right, so really quickly, let me get into my overall thoughts of this Viernes Espectacular before we get into this Friday, some news, and then also briefly talking about the Vegas CMLL show that is happening on Friday. So that's going to be fun. Well, in Vegas during the afternoon. So overall, I thought this episode of Viernes Espectacular was a lot of fun. As always, or for at least a good chunk of these shows, Arena Mexico was packed to the roof. The card was well structured, and the main event definitely delivered exactly what it needed to deliver. It's the send the crowd home happy match, which is fun. I think Hechicero is in a great moment right now. Again, newly crowned heavyweight champion. Now he's going to the Universal Championship final, and he's having great matches, like I said. Him and Mascara Dorada versus whoever else is going to be an exciting match. I'm excited it. So this Friday is phase 3, where the national champions block will determine the third and final entrant into the final. So everything will come to head again, as I said, on April 24th. Again, I feel like this particular episode was solid. Undercard was solid. The women's match was pretty good. Lightning match gave Valiente a nice veteran moment. The trios match did their job. Nothing on the other card. That Vegas sh that Vegas show no one is buying tickets for. I know. Listen, I'm still gonna cover it because it's covering CMLL. I'm just saying, God, let me do my job, primo. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, bro. I love you, my friend. Thank you. So, like I was saying, the undercard didn't steal the show. They didn't need to. This was just everything to service the main event. And this is my call to arms. This is my soapbox. If you are not watching CMLL right now, you are missing out. I think now is a good time to get into it, especially since they're heading into the 70th anniversary show. And I cannot wait to see how this Universal tournament wraps up. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, so that brings me to the end of our post show portion. But we got a couple things to talk about. So let's talk about it, right? So this Friday, we got lots of things happening in the world of CMLL specifically. We got action happening on two fronts in Arena Mexico in the evening. But before that, it's the Vegas show, which I'm going to talk about and I'm going to cover here in a sec. So let's get into that, shall we? Alrighty. Oop, I just realized that I was looking at the wrong thing because I needed to make sure that the card for the Vegas show is updated. But let's talk about this Friday's episode of Viernes Espectacular because it looks like a lot of fun too. So in Primera Lucha at Una Caída, we have, of course, Magia Blanca and our Torneo de Escuelas winners, Tornado and Rey Pegasus, taking on the team of Vegas Depredador, Kimba, and Tonochka. I love saying that, Tonochka. So I'm excited to see that match happen. Then in Segunda Lucha, in Mano a Mano de Amazonas, we're getting Gara Negra and Kira. So that should be a fun match too. In an evento especial, this is Los Viajeros del Espacio versus El Galeón Fantasma. So Max Star, Futuro, and Valiente Jr. taking on the team of Averno, Euforia, and Mephisto. In the Lucha Semifinal, we have Los Guerreros Laguneros versus Los Infernales. So this is Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., and Gran Guerrero taking on Averno, Euforia, and Mephisto. Sorry, I'm gonna need to go back because I was reading the wrong thing, but it is Maxstar Futuro Valiente versus Defunto Barbosa Furia Roja. I got excited. My apologies. Then in the main event, this is Tercera Fase por el Campeonato Universal 2026. And these are the campeones nacionales, so the national champions. So the third phase has Esfinge, Akuma, Black Tiger, Guerrero Maya Jr., Felino Jr., El Cobarde, Hijo de Stuka Jr., Calavera Jr. Uno, and Capitan Suicida. So are we going to get consistency primo this Friday? Absolutely not. But we still going to watch it? Yes. And we will be here Wednesday to talk about it because it's going to be crazy, y'all. Alrighty. So with that out of the way, I do have one other piece of preview to go to before we get into our news, which is going to be a lot of fun. So let's get into that. So coming up this week in Las Vegas as a part of Slam Fest, CMLL is having their show, which is going to be a lot of fun. So this is gonna be kind of cool. So there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of some switching around, but here is how it has panned out due to how everything is shaped up. It should be a good show. Yeah, Friday should be a good show, and I think the Vegas show will be fun. So here is what's going down on the Vegas show. So this should be a lot of fun. So of course we have a couple of matches for the Vegas show. This is the English term. This is not how we use it, but we have the micro estrellas. So it's going to be Kemalito and Periquito Zacarias versus Chamuel and Tengu. So that's going to be fun. For the CMLL Women's World Championship, Persephone will be defending the title against Tessa Blanchard. So that's the match that's happening. In a match that is being touted as legendary, it is Blue Panther versus Ultimo Guerrero. In a Técnicos versus Rudos, it is going to be Esfinge, Shelhua, and Valiente Jr. versus Soberano Jr., Defunto, and Barbosa. I'm just happy to see Soberano Jr. be getting these matches here in the States. Listen, we are here to spread the Soberano Jr. agenda, and I am here for it. In the high flying spectacle, it is going to be Mascara Dorada and Neon taking on Flip Gordon and Capitan Suicida. In our Power versus Legacy match, Gladio Castagnoli versus Atlantis Jr. And in the main event, it is going to be Místico and Templario taking on Hechicero and Angel de Oro. So I'm never going to be against CMLL exposure, especially here in the United States, but I am not mad. So, but I understand why people would maybe be like, "What are you doing? Why are we doing this? This is kind of crazy. What's happening?" But it is what it is. I'm excited regardless, and it should be fun. I'm looking forward to both shows. I will be watching both shows. We will definitely be covering the Arena Mexico show Wednesday, and we'll see if we tack on the Slam Fest show. But it is what it is. Alrighty, let's get into the other piece of news that I have. Technically, I have two because I forgot to mention this last week, and I want to make sure I mention it this week. But let's first start with the matches that are being announced for our CMLL versus MLW show. So this should be very interesting. I think it's going to be fun. So as far as the lineup goes, we have a tag team match: Calaveras Junior Uno y Dos versus Ikuru Kwan and Okumura. We also have Olympia taking on newly signed MLW star Lady Frost. So that should be a fun one for sure. We are getting Gata Negra versus Shotzi. So that I'm interested to see how Shotzi does here in Arena Mexico. So that should be an interesting one. We have Averno and Euphoria taking on Bishop Dyer and Donovan Digest for the CMLL Tag Team Championships, which we got to go. All right, Primo, if you got to go, see you later. Talk to you later. Thanks for being here. So I am going to finish up. So again, that should be a fun match. And, we are also getting Neon versus Diego Hill, which on paper sounds really good. And looking forward to that match. I love Diego Hill. And then you get Soberano Jr. and Angel de Oro versus Austin Aries and Trevor Lee. So that should be a very interesting match to watch as well. And look, we said a lot about Austin Aries. Should be interesting. And I need the luchadors to go over because if they don't, we riot. So it should be a fun one. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, for the MLW Featherweight Championship match, it is going to be Templario fighting Kushida. So that should be a really, really fun match. All righty, but that's going to be it for me here this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to Los Lobos de la Lucha. Again, in 2 weeks, Papa Oso will be back with me, so it won't just be me talking all the time. I'd like to thank Primo for being here. So I know you got a dip, brother. So thank you for being here. And we've still got a lot of stuff coming to you live this week. So tomorrow evening is our Mystery Wrestling 24 post show, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then Friday kicks everything out of our Hell Week 2026, in which we're covering everything that's happening in Vegas. So at 3 p.m. Pacific, it is a live watch along of GCW Bloodsport 14. Or no, 15, I should say, which will lead into our TNA Rebellion post show at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific is our live watch along of Effie's Big Gay Brunch, as well as our night one watch along for WrestleMania. On Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific, it is our watch along for Joey Janela's Spring Break 10. And then we'll be doing a watch along for night 2 of WrestleMania at 3 p.m. Pacific. Then next Monday through Friday, we are covering a bunch of shows that happened during the week. So Monday, we will be breaking down WrestleMania, as well as be having a post show for Stardom's American Dream, as this is the American stop, as we also make our way to All-Star Grand Queendom coming up soon. Then on Tuesday, I will be here reviewing MDK Fight Club, which should be a lot of fun. Wednesday is we will be doing Gringo Locos, the worlds on Lucha, as well as our CMLL post show. Thursday, we will be doing mystery wrestling. No, that's not mystery wrestling. Sorry. On Thursday, sorry. On Thursday, we got some fun stuff still. So I am looking forward to it all. So it's going to be really fun. But Thursday, we will be doing two shows. At 6 p.m. Pacific, we will be doing our Progress Vegas show, which should be a lot of fun. And then at 7:30 p.m., we will be doing our MLP Multiverse show. And then Friday on the 24th is our regular TNA show. So we got a lot of stuff coming to you starting on Friday. But that's going to be it for me here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back next Wednesday for more CMLL action. But until then, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. I'll see you tomorrow for Mystery Wrestling 24. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.